So you're thinking about an offshore charter, in this case, North Carolina, maybe Virginia, Maryland. You're saying, what type of fish do you catch during the times of year? What's the seasonality of the fish? Well, that's what we're gonna talk about in today's video. All right, Professor, let's focus on offshore in this video, the seasonality of it. Let's start at the beginning of the year. Someone wants to take a charter offshore, beginning of the year. What can they expect to catch? This is the golden time of the year for us in many ways. Not as much to catch, but you can still catch a lot.
Yeah, well, you say not as much to catch. Bluefin tuna is the main thing.
It is the gold. It is the
January and February. And January, the majority of January, we're commercial fishing for them.
Yep.
And normally the middle of February is when the quota gets caught. And then you still have some recreational quota that can be filled. And we had some charters this year where some guys went out and we had really good luck, you know.
Oh my goodness, yes. And they might be changing that up to have days on, days off. And so if you're thinking about a bluefin charter, because you've been watching Wicked Tuna and you want to experience that, come on out with us this coming February. You'll be able to find out what days are open for charters. But we're going to be having lots of charters. I'm sure we've had a lot of people already tell us they're definitely going next year. Okay.
And don't let February scare you as far as, you know, the weather and being cold and stuff like that. Yes, of course, some days in February it's 30 degrees and the wind's blowing, it's raining sideways, whatever. But there are a lot of beautiful days in February.
Yes.
And you have to understand, when we leave this dock, some mornings it'll be 35, 40 degrees. But when we get out there to where we're fishing in 70-degree water. And we'll have long johns on when we leave this dock, but when we're out there fishing, we'll be walking around short sleeves.
It's just nuts how the Gulf Stream warms you up.
It is.
Now, there's other fish to catch too
That's right.
during January, February. Tell us about a few of those.
There was a lot of Wahoo around this past year when we were fishing for them, and blackfin tuna. You know, and there was a bunch of yellowfin tunas that got caught too. We never did catch any, but I heard a lot of, you know, other guys catch a few. And but there's always a good chance that you'll have some other bycatch.
And a lot of kings, unfortunately.
Yeah, a lot of king mackerels, yeah.
So, all right, so that's January, February. Let's talk about March, April timeframe. What can you expect? And again, for this video, I know it's gonna be different in Florida. It's gonna be different up in the Northeast or the Northwest. But this is mainly North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland area we're talking here.
Well, that March is kind of a transition month where there's still a couple of bluefins left around and a few wahoos and you blackfins and stuff like that in different areas. But it's kind of a transitional month where the bluefin are moving out and the yellowfin are kind of pushing in. And every year is different with time frames. Like I know last year, April was not great for yellowfin fishing. And but this year they actually had better yellowfin fishing here in April than they did in May. And
funny how that works, right?
Yeah.
So generally speaking, March isn't a big charter month because of that transitional period. But April does potentially it can have a lot to offer.
That's right. And March is normally, especially for us, that month where we try to get a lot of our annual maintenance done, because we're bluefin fishing January in February, in March, and then we like to be fishing again in April. You know what I mean?
And that bluefin season beats up on the boat pretty good.
Oh yeah, it takes a toll.
Takes a toll
on everybody, not only the boat.
Oh yeah, you got to sleep for a month just to catch up from it. All right, so now let's transition into that prime time, summertime, May, June.
Yep.
What can we expect to catch?
That's when you normally have your good push of yellowfin tunas, and you know, in June the Bigeyes will show up. And you'll have a few blue marlin around in June also. It's really phenomenal fishing on a norm, you know, in May and June. And then as you go into July, there's still yellowfins around, and you start to see more Mahi show up, and then you phase right on in, you know, with your billfish right in there too, you know, into July.
You know, this June, we've seen some days where everybody loaded up on Mahi. And we've seen other days where there was, you know, a lot of yellowfin. There's been Junes in the past where it was a yellowfin bonanza. I mean, it was just incredible.
Well,
So it is interesting how it's not always the same, and certainly can change from day to day, but general patterns do persist.
yeah, and it is a fishing pattern too, because this year the sharks have been so bad, and all of the charter boat captains here are just struggling with that, because of course everybody wants to catch yellowfin tuna.
Yep.
So you take your charter out, you get 15 bites that day, and you can't get either one of them to the boat because of the sharks. I know it's hard for me to swallow as a charter boat captain, to charge these people that money, they can't go home with any meat. You know what I mean? Even though you tried like hell to do it, you know what I mean? But you just could not get any past the shark. So a lot of guys will actually go try to find their mahis, go out of their way, way far out of their way, to try to put some meat on the boat first. And, you know, then
Come back for the yellowfin.
come back for the yellowfin.
Yeah. Okay. So that's May, June. You started talking about July. So that July, August, September timeframe, what are we looking at there?
That's big billfish's month. Yeah, you know, months. That's when you know, your white marlin, your blue marlin, your sailfish, and it's great mahi fishing too. And there's still, I mean, it's almost like there's resident yellowfins that live here near the Outer Banks. But it's just different techniques that you have to use to catch them in different areas you need to target, you know, the later it gets in the months. But no, August is a great month for, you know, all your billfish.
And the one thing about July, August, September timeframe is they tend to be the nicest days on the water too, just overall, would you say?
Yeah,
in terms
I
of
agree.
calm water, beautiful blue water. You also see a ton of mammals like dolphins and whales, and it's just, I mean, that's the time of year where you can really see a lot of life.
That is true. Yep. It's you fall into those summertime patterns, you know, where it's calm days and high humidity, and it's just really great fishing. You know what I mean?
Great fishing, fun fishing. So once we move into the fall, and we're talking that October, November, December time frame, into that winter time frame, what are we looking at? And give us a sense, because I know it can be a little bit different, because the bluefin start to show up a little bit further south of here as well. So tell us about what we could expect.
September is a great month for blackfin tuna.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Down there around the point, stuff like that, there's a big showing of those. You can catch a wahoo pretty much almost year round here. I've never really seen a huge concentration of them, but you know, you'll hear one or two get caught. We'll catch one a week or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just, they're always around. It's just that not a lot of people, they have a different mindset in November and December. You know, they kind of think about the weather's not quite so warm. They kind of forget about fishing and move to hunting and stuff like that, but the fishing is still phenomenal.
Yeah, it can be great. Some of the best days were in November last year.
Yep.
And if I'm not wrong, if we go off of that Beaufort area of North Carolina, you do have, you've got the bluefin option.
Yes, that's right. Yep. It's a little different fishing technique, and as seasons change, you use different techniques to catch these fish. So it's the same techniques don't work year round, and I'm not saying that's across the board, but generally that's the way it works.
Yeah, and so we're going to be fishing throughout, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And hopefully now you've got a sense for what you could expect from a seasonality perspective. If you got questions though, and you want to go on a trip, reach out to us, let us know. You can hit us up, leave a comment below. And again, we just want to put a disclaimer that this is going to be different depending on where you are in the world. Certainly it's going to be different in Florida, it's going to be different in Louisiana.
And it varies from year to year.
Yeah,
you know?
it does vary from year to year, but what doesn't vary is that it's an amazing time on the ocean. It's a good time, and we would love to have you. So please come visit us here, slip number 92 at Pirates Cove Marina in Manio, North Carolina. You can find us at SpeechlessSportFishing.com. You can book a trip there with the professor himself and his son, right here on Speechless. And until the next time, everyone, stay salty.